So I just want to come on here and just have a quick, like, little powwow um, about what it's like to have eighth house stellium. Um, I have one, and I have within like the last year have really just leaned into it a little bit. Like, really have taken the time out to kind of take a step back and kind of see the patterns within my life and kind of understand how all of that eighth house energy has played into them, so to speak. Um, my son is in the eighth house, so growing up, I never understood why people would always just stare at me intensely, like intensely stare at me. It I would just I could just be minding my business in the grocery store as a child and just look over, and then I'm just getting, and this is like, what the fuck? What in the world did I do? What did I do? That was a lot. Um, Also, the theme of with my son being in the eighth house, I, as a child, went through. My dad was on substances when I was a kid, and that kind of played out, being very, I don't know, just transformative in my younger years, having to see a lot of things that I saw and having to experience just seeing, somebody that you love go from one form to another form to another form to another form. Like that transformation of seeing a person as your father and then seeing them going through, you know, difficult, tough times in their life and then seeing them come out of it to be a better person, you know. And then subsequently, my father's no longer with us. So also seeing him pass on, it has really just, it's been a lot to, just understand. Like within the last year, I've taken the time to kind of really truly try to understand this energy that I have within me, because it has not always been easy. It's been a lot of ups and downs within my own life, especially as a child. I moved around a lot, went to 6 different high schools and 2 of them twice. That's a story time for another story time. But a lot of like having to kind of like reinvent yourself every time that you go to a new place. It's like you're having to figure out what parts of you are no longer there, what parts of you that are new, you know, how you look to the outside. Like with my son being in the eighth, I was always just very fixated on my outside like appearance, like, you know, what people kind of saw me like, because I was always, felt like people were always watching me. Even it just was, oh, you learn things and then you go back and you're like, now that shit makes that now it makes perfect sense. Now it the wheels start to turn and the hamster starts to wake up and you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now this is what this energy was that I had absolutely no clue. Like even now as an adult, it's hard. Like it can be a difficult energy to work with now. Like, yeah, like my Venus is also in the eighth. So what I've learned is a lot of times within relationships, I attract people who are a bit broken, like a bit a bit lost, or they themselves are going through some sort of transformation. Like I'm catching you at a point in your life to where you need a boost of something, and it's almost like we're drawn to each other, and then that boost occurs, and then your transformation occurs, and that exchange of energy happens, and then we go our separate ways. Now that's the the sugar and sweet part of it all, but we all know eighth house energy is a lot of, it can bring a lot of drama, it can bring a lot of fire, it can bring a lot. So yeah, it can some relationships turn out to be more of like, in the past, now looking back, some of them turn out to be a little bit more of like trauma bonding, to where it's like this person and me share the same hurt, so to speak, and it's like we're healing each other as we're going through our lives together. But now it's like, then when you break up, you have this period of time to being able to look back and see, what died, and being able to see, okay, well, I'm no longer that person. Well, why am I no longer that person? Like, who are you now? So then you have to take the time to kind of reevaluate yourself and see, okay, these were the things within that relationship that were not good and I never want to go through again. So we need to not be that person anymore. We need to shed, we need to let die, and we need to rise the fuck back up. And the rise is always the fun part. The rise, the y'all know what that rise feel like. That rise at the end, when you finally get to the top and you're up and you're soaring, and then that phoenix is up there and you oof, and you feeling real good, and everybody is down, and then you're looking down and you're like, because they never thought you would, get back up. But that's life. That has been my life for the last 30 plus years. It has been a, just, I don't even know how I would describe it. I would say it's been just like a wonderful roller coaster. Just every time I think I have a grasp of it, it's like, oh no, this, we got a little bit more for you. And so let me fill your plate up a little bit more. Add some, need some more of that. So yeah, eighth house has been, it's been fun, like, and just realizing what I know now. Yeah, it's just, yeah. So if you're out there and you have this same placement and you feeling, low, just know you will rise again. You always rise again. You figure it out and you will rise again. And I think a lot of my pain has come from not realizing that first I have to take care of me before I can take care of another person. Like, I'm very much like, I attract a lot of broken people, and it's always like when I get to this point where I'm like, I'm good, I'm back, I'm up top. Then it's like, oh, it's like they see that light, and then it's like, oh, and then it's like they jump, and then me being me, I'm like, hey, let me save you, let me give you my light, and you end up just losing yourself in them, snuffing your own light out, trying to, light them up. And you light them up, you get them up, they rise. And then, just like a baby out of the nest, just like you got to kick each other out. That's how it feels like at times. And it's not always you being the person that's, helping. I've had situations within my life to where I have been the person that has been the low one and had people come in and scoop me up and do the same thing for me and teach me how to do that for another person. Because a lot of times within this life, I've learned that my greatest lessons have always come from people to whom I don't like. That's number one. If I always say, like, you have certain bosses within your life. Like, I think of life almost like a video game, so to speak, and like it's different levels, and as you level up, you're gonna have different, let's say new levels, new devils. You're gonna have different bosses or whatever. I feel like, at each level of my life, there have been different people that I have thought have been like that devil on my back. It's sometimes when you're younger, these people are like literally physical people, like physical people. But the older you get, you start to realize the reason why you didn't like them is because you saw something within them that is within you. So And those people have always been the people to whom have taught me the most, in life, is the people that I meet and I'm like, oh, I can't stand this person. And it's like, ah. And I've learned it's like, I don't like you is because you are here to teach me something about myself that either I know and I don't want to realize, or I just don't know yet. And sometimes, though, sometimes your teachers can't be easy on you. They have to be hard on you. Like, sometimes that's the best way to get the lesson, is when it's the hardest. So I've learned that. I've learned that. Yeah. I used to have this old chief in the Navy, Master Chief. He used to always say, Ham. He used to call me Ham in one of my nicknames. Ham, there's a difference between living and existing. And for like the longest time, he would say that to me. I couldn't stand this dude. Like, I couldn't. He was like, nobody liked him. His job was just to be a dick asshole. He was put in our place to make us better people, and he took his job very seriously. And we were young and dumb, and just out here trying to, and it just was a lot. So he did his job very well. He made us not like him. But now looking back, he was one of the best teachers I ever had, because he stayed on top of me and he gave me a life lesson that I can then pass on to the next person. There's a difference between living and existing, and for a long time I didn't know what that meant. And I think a lot of us, when we get into these relationships, we just exist. We're not living. They take that light out of us, and we're just existing just to exist, and we can't do that. Eighth house is, we're gonna live. We're gonna shine no matter what. We're gonna come through that darkness. So, but yeah. So, if you out there and you have a placement like this, and and you done went through some things. I know you done went through some things. Just know that you're not alone. It gets better. All that jazz. You know. Yeah. So, um, my social media, if anybody wants to hit me up, or if you want to talk about it or anything else like that, I'm gonna try to be a little consistent with videos and put some out. I'm new to this, so I'm trying to become true to this. But yeah, I'm on Instagram at Heavy Venetian Vibes. So Heavy Venetian Vibes, or you can drop a comment down below if you have eighth house placements. If you want me to do, I'm gonna try to do a full series, but you want more eighth house. I know a lot of people love Scorpios and shit, so I'm still learning about all this Scorpionic energy and shit like that. Like, I've shied away from it a lot, but I feel like a part of me has to, fall into it a little bit more. That's why, look at the shirt, try to fall into it a little bit more. But it has been almost like a revelation within myself and within my own spirit of realizing, okay, this is why I act the way that I act. This is why these situations have happened. This is why things have played out the way that's played out, and it's going to play out the way it's going to play out. Is because these energies that you have within you. So the best thing for me to do, I feel like, is to share that knowledge and, you know, find other people who are like me. So, yeah, have a good one.